my name is Eric Rodda. That I was born, so they tell me, the 1st of August in 1916. Yeah, and I was one of 6 children. This business started up with the cream. They wanted, that was our job. When in the evening we come home, Crowson's or Thomas Martin or somebody had ordered so much cream, and that was all done during the day, and the bottles were there when we come home for school, and we had put labels on them. Well, that was a major job for us sort of kids, you know. But if you can imagine it, we had a piece of a cloth made wet, and I put a label on it, and then stick it on. Well, you can, if you've got any imagination at all, you've got children doing it. What did they look like? Every Wednesday, Sunday, when so this was a choice, because the brilliant part about it is hardly anybody had any Cornish cream. It wasn't available in London. So when it went, people didn't. Well, it looked original, if you like, very in every point, because it looked if it come from a farmer, and it looked like if you got your finger marks on it and whatever, but it went like that, you know. So anyway, that didn't last for long. You can imagine that, can't you? But if you go a little bit further and want to know how we packed it, my father, we had chicken on the farm, chicken house, and one of the jobs that we would have, perhaps of weekends or Sundays or something, go out and pick up the eggs. Well, just children do that, there's no problem, bring them eggs in. But father also had a number of farms all around. Now, I reckon there's about 6 farms in Square. When I say farms, they're the small old ones, but all of them had chicken. So they would then collect their chicken, and he would go around with a horse and trap, what they called it, and collect the eggs. And they'd be packed in straw wooden boxes and sent to London. And he'd also had another man that used to work for him and bring the eggs as well. So at the end of or say twice a week, I suppose, there'd be these big boxes, and father would put these eggs in. Well, that was the contact, in a way, with us in London. And we had relations, or at least distant relations, that lived in London and would come down for holiday. Well, what would they get? One of the main things they did have, same as we had, was clotted cream. And I tell you that I don't remember the time when clotted cream wasn't on the table. So it was no luxury to us, so just have what you want. But people come down and, well, that's all right, you know. They could dibble in as well and have what they want. Well, you know, can you send some up? Well, it was virtually, you could send it there, but it'd be no good, would it? Because the life of cream then, that was the problem. It wouldn't last more than about 2 days or so out of the, no refrigeration or anything. If you can imagine the atmosphere, there was no electric, no running water, and it was very basic. The kitchen floor was like a sort of tile and covered with sand, so that would just be brushed up at the end of the week, and then that was that. So we came in off the farm and walked into this. Well, that was the life, but it was very basic. But hadn't done us any harm. You know, today we got to be so careful, so hygienic, but we weren't exactly like that. But we, all of us survives, and I've survived not too bad, I suppose. So this is this set up. Now, they wanted to know if they could have some set up. So apparently Mother pioneered the idea of sterilising it in jars. Now, she put a thing on the kitchen. I remember doing it in the kitchen, what they call a Cornish range. It was stoked up with coal, and I think summertime you couldn't walk in there, or it was too hot. But anyway, that's where you did the boiling, put things in. So she put a kilner jar, and sealed it, and then put it away, and she found that, yes, it would keep. Well, obviously, that's been sterilised. Well, that was brilliant. But there was a big drawback in the sense that cream properly should be refrigerated. You know, you need it cool. So the only thing you could do down there in those days was hopefully put it outside, north side, and hope to some wind and so on. And if it was all right, then it would be all right, but it wouldn't be set properly. Well, you know. But whatever it was is what people wanted at that time. So she packs them with the eggs that Father was sending up for the people up there. Well, you know what that meant. Oh, I got these jars to come up from Cornwall. Well, that one long before shops around there was sort of interested. Yes, we'll have some. I can do that. Well, you can imagine the basic start now. We're trying to find out. We don't know how to do things. Go and find somebody with jars, and screw tops, and all. No right sizes, and all this sort of thing. And then when we never had enough, we only had 20 cows. There wasn't very much to do. He went, the farms around, can you fill these jars with cream? Well, to be quite honest, it wasn't very good, really, because that farmer would be doing it this way, and that cream would be thick, and that would be thin, and you know, there was no consistency with it, really. But when there's nothing else, you didn't mind so much, and they didn't mind up there. So this is how it started, so they sent up. And so it developed. And when I was talking to you earlier on, saying we come home from school to put labels on these things, it had developed then to quite a big extent. To start with, we had a screw tops with a rubber seal in it, and it screwed down. But that didn't do too good because people couldn't take it off, you know, the sort of thing. There was a type they couldn't get it off, and that. But then we had a 3 ounce and a 6 ounce with a clip seal on it, and then a little machine we had bought to go and steal the things. Well, that took off, and that really did take off, because we were. I remember coming home from school, and the father said, Thomas Martin just ordered a grouse, 144. Well, do you imagine? A little foreign place in the kitchen, filling these darn things up and trying to make it go right and all this sort of thing. You've got to use a bit of imagination now, because the thing we were doing. So now we've done all this, and now it's getting bigger than ever. So Willie, that was my eldest brother, he went in the town and asked if they could get some big premises. Well, you've seen them, and they were huge things, really. So that would boil the water, and they found a bath, they boiled it in, and so these, you imagine us doing this thing with premises and that. Your imagination got to overdrive, to think, what was things like, you know, you're standing there, and now you've done it. They got to cool them. So go out in the garden, on the garden path at night, and spread them all out, and just hope it'll be cool by morning. To put in the thing to send to London. But such was the demand for it that this order came in for a grouse. Now, I remember clear as the way we come home from school, Father said, a grouse. Oh, got to go down and do that now. So it's Joy, Roger and I down there putting all these labels on. And of course, then that was a big order going off now. But that did develop even further, and we did get a bit more sophisticated, you know what I mean? I got stuff in and proper tanks, and I mean, I had very limited in the amount of water we could use because we had so much water would cut off the roof, but we boiled these things up, and we did really set off. And one particular firm, Crowson's, that was dealing with cheeses and that for France and that sort of thing, when they got all of it, they were a bit more aggressive in their advertising up in London, and it really did start to go, and it did start to build it. We were selling off a lot of stuff, but it was still very primitive. You know, yeah, it was hard work and wasn't very, as the standards, I wouldn't go very far, I don't suppose, because nevertheless, that was how it was. And as far as I know, we didn't poison anybody because it was good stuff at any rate. And whatever it tastes like, it wasn't bad. At any rate, there we are. So that's that. Now, the war came. I'm going to jump now a long way on. But that got us back, and I was older now. I volunteered for the RAF, and I had 6 years in the war. And I went to Far East and all over the place. So now we come back after the war, so what are we going to do? I suppose we were there for about, I'll say 18 months, I aren't sure, but last summer lately. Willie, that's my oldest brother, he came in to me and he said, I've had a letter from Crowson's. Well, I knew who Crowson's was. It was a firm that we used to live in London, see? Well, he said, I said, what do you want? I said, Crowson's have sent, listen, a cheque for £1,000. Send up all the cream you can. Now, there was no, that was the first time the government lifted the ban on the production of cream. You could have butter and all that, but no cream could be allowed to be made, except for, you know, what you use yourself, but you couldn't sell it. This was the rationing period, see? But they were going to leave it off from, I think, May to September. So he said, will you come with me and we'll do this? We'll do this. I said, we've got nothing of us. Got nothing. He got old chicken houses, and if you can imagine a farmhouse left for 4 years, 6 years, I suppose, nearly. You couldn't do anything with it. You couldn't have money to repair it, nothing. The earth floors, you just can imagine it. And no water, no electric. So I said to my wife, well, she said, it's all right for you to do that, but she said, if you do that, then September you got to stop. Anyway, we talked about it for a while, and I went in and see the fellow I was working for. I said, look, I want to go and do this job. Can I come back when I finish it? Yes, he said, I don't want to go, so you can come back. Yes, yes, there's no problem there, see. So we got back, and I said, we looked at what we had. So Wooly said to me, I'll go to London And I'll go to all the farms that we did do before, if I can find them, and tell them what I want. They must have jars and all this sort of stuff. Because, I mean, we didn't know where to get it from. We had no idea really, but we had a little bit of the stuff that was left behind. My job down here was get the place ready and start the job. I went out as an old, I guess, chicken house, like, and it was anything but salubrious. Oh, that was earth floor. There was an old car in there. It was jacked up that we used for had a belt on it, driving a saw. Oh, you can imagine this thing. You just use your imagination. Look at this thing, you know, galvanized roof, and it was, yes, he had glass frame in the front, but he was looking dirty and grumbly, and then I thought, we were starting to cream in here. Anyway, I went to see the one of those builders. I said, look, I've got a job for you now. Clear all this out and get a concrete floor down in here. I mean, we're rich now. You imagine that. My wages at that time was £4, £4.06 a week. So £1,000. We couldn't. So what happened was that that was my job. So I went in the town and found out somebody that could make baths and all that for me, and I got them going, and I went and then got more premises and one thing and another. That's all. But again, there's no electric or anything there. So Willie come back. He came back with jars, and right, we were all set. Nice. If you can imagine, it'd be nice floor down there because we had earth before, but it looked too bad, and. Oh, no, well, you could brush the place down, but don't use too much water. Be careful. See, anyway, it was quite hygienic. So, anyway, now, get the cream. Well, we only had, I suppose about 16, 20 cows altogether, and they're all hand milking, you know. I've seen the film, Mummy, with the hand milking. Well, that was a terror in itself. So, Willie had a motorbike and sidecar. Ortiz had a motorbike, and we put a sidecar on it with a box. And he was sent around the farms with these jars, asking the farmers if they fill them up. Well, that for the farmers around, that was bonus, wasn't it? You know, you could sell the cream straight off like that, because normally they had job know what to do with it. So they filled these jars up, and we'd come back and put clips on them to hold the tops on, and we'd come back here and seal them. Well, then put them in this thing and boil them and send it off. Well, now we start, what are we going to have to send it with? What can we put it in? Boxes? Nothing. So the farmer across the road, we knew him well. He had an old lorry, so could we borrow it? Yeah. So we went round to the shops and asked them, could we have any boxes that they've been, fruit and stuff will come in from, see? Oh, yes, you can have them, sixpence for that one and fourpence for that one and so on. So, anyway. So they come back with all boxes, all shapes and sizes, if you can imagine what it was like. So, was an old gentleman that lived in the village. We asked him to come up and take the nails out of this and make some good boxes out of them. So he was through the bits. He had a job, so he was doing this. So now, when we got these things, we got the cream and packed them in here. Well, what did we pack them with? Well, the only thing we had was straw on the farm. So you can imagine these jars with black and white labels on them. Just I had to get the town to find a printer to do it, and you had to put it right now because we couldn't just do like you did before, but you had to do a little bit better. And we got this thing on. Still had to stick them on the same way. But anyway, we did, and put the things in and boiled them, and like I said, put them out in the garden. And that's what we started. So you can just imagine them going off to London with these boxes, any shape or kind. The only labels we had to put on them was boxes we cut up, and we were writing the label on them. We couldn't buy labels, or we wouldn't do, because it would cost too much money. So we had this and sent it off, and that's how it started. And that went off. That did go off like a bomb. And we, as much as we could put in, well, the thing had to be improved gradually, because we found that the stuff really wasn't up to standard at all. But it's the only standard you could have. When there was nothing, but that didn't go. And as soon as London, it was gone. Well, that was that. So that went on until September. Stop. So I said, well, what do you think I'll do now? He said, he said, I tell you what I suggest we do. We'll buy turkey poults. So we had 70. We made it out of a house which we had there, and we put in 70 turkeys, and I was going to rear them on and get them for Christmas. So I said, in the meantime now, because we can start up again in 1 or 2 days, we must get this place right, because we had time to do it now. And that's what we did. We set about putting in the thing as well as we could do it. And by that time, I was back putting electric in, got the electric in, and gas. Well, eventually did gas, not yet. But that's where we started then, after the war. So I tell you why. You should do all this. Why I told you the story about going to Wolverhampton. We were doing this thing. We were well above everybody else, because we managed to get gas in. And we had gas in to cook the cream on rather than have our parmesan. Now that was a big improvement, because we had a special room and we had this gas fire, and it was brilliant. And this is where we come. Well, they tell the tale, because my mates used to come work for us. We were all the same people. Not we weren't posh. Fill these pans with cream, then put them on it. Now I said, look, an hour. That can be cooking for an hour. Get in the van. We'll go down Portstown for a swim. So off we go down Portstown for a swim, and then back again an hour, and take off this cream, put the lot on if we had to, so, and then down again. See, well, you know, you can imagine trying to work like this, really. But that's what happened. You know, if we could do it well, that's what we did. So we got there. And now, when we started, we never had any money much. We were some tight, but we were fortunate that what we sold locally, the cream, we had the money straight away. We went to the shops. They weren't on credit or anything. You go in the shop and they say, how many do you want today, dear? Oh, well, we'll have 6 today and 4 today. And we had a little van, went around and so it gave us cash in hand so we could buy the stuff. That was how we started. But it was very... If we had credit, we couldn't do it much, because we were using up the £1,000 we had, and that was going down very quickly, because he was having that for nothing, like, you know what I mean? Because that was paying off this thing, wasn't it? So we had, that was a loan, if you like. That's what it amounted to. Anyway, now, why I'm telling you this, Willie and I, we used to argue with each other that I said we had labels on a bit of raw cloth, see, So we were doing that, and we still kept that. That was the way we did it. And he came on one day with a thing that you push the thing down, and you get a bit of tape come out, all wet, done. So I said, what have you got that for? Well, that saved time, innit? I said, you paid 7 and 6 for that one. I said, that is you can't afford, we can't afford to do that, Anyway, I tell you, this partly what I said. Well, that went long for, he had it back on me because I put electric heater in, see. Well, you didn't want electric, you could have just done it with a primus. Anyway, but that's the bit thing went on, see. Well, anyway, so he came in one day and he brought in an old gas cooker. I said, what on earth you brought that thing on for? I said, we don't want that thing in here. Well, he said, it was cheap. I said, well, how much did you give it for? Well, I don't know. Well, put it in your... So I'll join it up, because that's my job, electric and gas. I had to do all that, see. So I put this gas cooker in. And he said, you can use the top now for do some experiments with, and that, Well, that was all right. He brought this whole cooker in, and we had a row about it. But nevertheless, there it was, and it was useful because we could boil a kettle of water on it, and everything was that was super safe. So I was there one day, and he came out to me and he said, you got a pot of yogurt? Yeah. So I ate the yogurt and had the curtain there. He said, I wonder what happened if you put some cream in that curtain and put it in the oven. Oh, I don't know. Well, try it, right? So, when about an hour, so we took it out. Oh, that's all right. That's right. Crust on the top. Perfect. No problem. Oh. So we try some more. So we got a few cartons, yogurt cartons. I had to eat yogurt then to get cartons to try. Anyway, we did a lot of experiment with this old gas cooker. So when he done that, I said, I can see a way forward now. I went to Wolverhampton to learn about ovens. We'll build an oven. And nobody will know why we do it. And we'll cook the cream in there. And, right. So off we went. I rung the firm that I work for, called Sorty. Lovely fellow. And I told Ron King, this fellow, I said, what we want to do is I want to build an oven. So he said, I'll have a chat with Stordy. So I said, well, what size do you want? So I told him roughly what we want. So he said, I tell you what, I'll give you the plans and I'll make all the steel works inside, but you've got to build the oven. So I'll give you the right size and all that. I'll make that for you. And then you got... So how do we build ovens? We had an old sailor working for us at the time, and he was a bit of a... could do anything, like, So we want to build an oven out of wood. You do? Yes. So I got the plans, tell you what to do. So we built an oven out of wood and then lined it with asbestos and then covered it with a metal, sheets of aluminium and sealed everything everywhere in. So the story, he said, now, you'll have to pay for the electric heaters. It'll be 750 kilowatt or something. So we needed 3-phase. That was unknown with us, but I knew what to do. So I rung up the electric people, and they said, yeah, we'll put in the gear for you. And I wired it all up, and we got this oven going. And we've got, and then we started production in this oven. And it was just right on. Well, that's cut out all this gas, all this thing, and the people didn't know what we were doing. But anyway, going back on the story a little bit, the inspector, the health inspector, he was a fellow, a brilliant man really, because he had a different ethos with the customers, that he would ring him up and ask if he could come. Well, do you know, if you ring up and want to know if you can come, well, you know what happens, don't you? You get the place all cleaned up, don't you? Make sure everything is dead right, see? So he rang me up and he said, can you come in? So I said, yeah, sure. Well, they would come in and then he would start. He says, I'm pleased the way you're doing this. This is wonderful. And I suggest you do this and do that. I think you're getting a really, you know, he buttered us up, and that got us doing the job, what he wanted really. And there was no animosity at all. You know, it was lovely. And he'd come in and I'll make a suggestion if you do that and all that. So, at any rate, he used to do that regularly. Every so often he'd ring up and he'd ask permission to come. Well, at any rate, he rang up one day and he spoke to me and he said, is it all right if I come on Thursday, would be all right? Yes, no problem at all, he said. So he said, is it all right if I bring a friend? Oh, no trouble. No, that's all right, yeah. So, at any rate, the two of them came and he walked around and see what he was doing and all this sort of thing. And his friend went around with him as well. And on the way out, I walked out with his friend to go up the car to go off. I didn't know who he was and anything. But he got in the car and he turned to me and he said, you don't know who I am, do you? I said, no, you're a friend. He said, I'm the chief inspector of hygiene and that thing from Bristol down. I've got the lab over in Truro. He said, we have been testing your cream for months. And he said, we find that your cream is always better than anybody else's. And we didn't know what you're doing. And we wanted to find out. So I thought, well, if you think about it, we used to cook the cream on open vats, everything they got. Now it was closed in an oven. And so the air in the oven was all sterile because it got hot. And as soon as taken out, it was sealed. He said, go and take a patent out of it right away. He said, everybody else will have to do what you're doing. So what I'm saying is, why did I go to was it a coincidence? I went there to do that, to know this at that time, which I did. And that is where we started. We took a patent out on it. And then we rose across the way. We were very friendly with them. And so they wanted to do the same. So we were able then to help them to go to stores and buy the oven, and we get the royalties on the... Because that only lasts for 14 years. Anyway, that was a little story there in the middle of that lot. So that was how we started the oven. But that then separated. We had a product that was good right from the start. But as you know, in making a clot of cream, you've got to leave it until and then you put it in the cool. Now, I went personally out to London to Express Airs at the time and see if I could sell stuff to them, because they had a van down here. So I got a laugh how I thought they could do, because when he started talking to me, I think they were thinking we were doing tons and tons of stuff and we were just doing a little bit, So how do you manage? Do you have forklifts and all this sort of thing? Say, well, nothing was done but But anyway, I persuaded him to buy stuff from us, because his lorries used to come down. So I had that. So and then he said, do you mind if we do some experimental work with you? Because we find that there's mould that are coming on the surface and so on, like that, see? So anyway, we fixed up our stuff to do all this and sort of thing, see? So they would send down Petri dishes sealed for us to put in with the cream, and then so they could count the mould and all that sort of thing. Think over that. Anyway, that's what they did. So we did everything, but then we send them back. They said, well, no, you've done everything right, I suppose, but no, there's still mould getting there and all that sort of thing. Anyway, we tried this sort of thing. But at that time, Alfred was starting working on me, and we got these Petri dishes coming back with mould on it. I said, look, I tell you what, we went and opened them. They come back all sealed, see? We had to break the seal, take it off. So I said, just break the seal, but don't open it. And send it back. Which we did. So they got mould on it, they said. So I said, well, that come from you, not from down here. So anyway, that was that little attachment there. See? I supposed to have retired. But I was home in the kitchen, then you're right, with my wife. The kitchen's in there. That's where it is, see? And Alfred rung me up and said, anybody make butter now? I said, yeah, I make a butter. Yeah, we do, yeah. Oh, that's all right then. Do you think you could make some? There's a firm in London when you make some. Oh, I said, no. I said, we don't make it like that. That's standard. See? Now, the firm was Harvey Brockless. Now, they apparently were a very well-known firm in London to supply the major shops like Fortnum & Mason and Harrods and all these people. And they were buying cream from us and selling them to these shops. So apparently Alfred got back to Harvey Brockless and said, no, we don't think we couldn't do it. No, we don't tackle it. So then he come back again and he said, please, will you try to do something for us? Because the firm, and I think it was Harrods, but I wouldn't be sure, are very insistent because they know that we supply clotted cream. And he said, a very influential lady from London has insisted that she wants some butter made with clotted cream. And we don't know anybody else who we could ask to do it. But unfortunately, they said, we can't tell you who the person is. So I still said, well, no. So I said to Billy, I said, no, I can't send cream to London like that, can I? I mean, butter. That's in the kitchen table, like, see? Oh, anyway, he said, well, I've said I can't tell you, but I can tell you something. This lady that keeps corgers. I said, well, there's only one person that keeps corgers. So I said, we can't possibly do cream for them. And what to do? That was a stinker, really. So I said, I said, you can make it. Can I? Said, we do it between us. Shall we have a go, shall I? It's all right, then, all right. So we said, we go down and get some cream. Now, get the Kenwood out. When did we use that last? I don't know. Well, I'll clean that, that thing. Make sure the table's clean. And there we was in the kitchen, digging this stuff out and trying to make butter for the Queen. See? So I thought, well, I said, well, we want to make it. Well, do you know how to make butter? Well, at any rate, you put cream in the bowl, and we did this, and then you take it out, and you mash it with your hands in cold water to get the butter out. Not when you get the butter in, and then you're under running water and so on. Well, we're going on. So if you imagine us now there with every bits and pieces. So this is our hands. That's what you got to do it with. Pack it up. See? So I said to my wife, well, you were the one that do that. So we take it. So we got to bash this thing long enough to get all the water out of it, and you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, and then when you finish, you can put the salt in. Oh, well, how much cream, how much butter we got here? I don't know. I suppose a pound or so. But salt pot. What do you think? Don't know. A bit more, I think, don't you? Beat it all up, and then I said, you've got taste better than I can. You taste it. See what you think. I think that's all right. Yeah, I should say that's about right. So I started to taste. So now this got me beat up. We got a lump of butter there, see, so you've got to tap it like this and build it up until you've got a proper little mould. Well, with professional people doing it, you don't get it exactly right, do you? One always look a bit bigger than the other, another a bit longer than the other, and so we had these two things on the board, and we were bashing the thing, and then put it up like this, and then well, I should think that's about right, doesn't it? Well, not very well, it wasn't right, but it does look as if it was done in the kitchen, I tell you. So now, have we got any greaseproof paper? Yeah, I believe there's some up in the cupboard. So we take this greaseproof paper out. So make sure you cut it square and don't have any ends, mind. So there we were, wrapping this butter up and putting marks on the top to make it look authentic, to go London. Do you imagine what it looked like when we finished? So then he closed that down, and now what they did, I sent it them the Creamery for them to send off. But I don't know if they put any label on it. We didn't know what the weight was or anything. It was just two pieces of butter sent off like that. So I don't know what happened to that long. But I tell you what did happen. They sent back and asked for more. So that put the cat among the pigeons now. We got to the stage where, I mean, things developed very quickly and much like what you see a lot now, things are moving on. We did improve and we got things moving and that sort of thing. And we got people that knew, that built machinery for us and so on. That's another part of the story, but there's a long story attached to it. But I'll jump along a bit and tell you. The British Midland Airways rung us one day and said, could we send them some pots of cream with 1 ounce in? So Alfred had this thing, and he came to me and he said, what can we do with that? I said, well, we got 2 ounce pots. Tell them they're going to do a 2 ounce pot for them. Well, I said, but they wanted to go on their aircraft. And nobody wanted to sit down and eat 2 ounces of cream. An ounce is quite a bit, well over the top. Well, at any rate, do we say no? We just think, well, what can we do? Well, why now? We said, why do you want to do this? Well, Unigate to do it for us now, but they're so restrictive that we can't deal with them. We all got to give them a fortnight's notice, and then we can't cancel and all this sort of thing, you know. What notice would you want? Well, I said, we want 24 hours. We're going to need to cook and cool. But apart from that, no, that's no problem. That time, all right, we could do that. So at any rate, he said, well, what do we do? He had an idea. He said, I'll ring the firm that make the cups, the 2 ounces for us, and could they make 1 ounce? Well, they didn't think they could because there wouldn't be room to put the information on the outside and all that. At any rate, I think, give credit to Alfred here now. He said, well, look, if you can make that, you can make it out of mould. He said, if you put a thing on the bottom of the mould, then the other part will be that much smaller. Do you see what I mean? If the mould goes down and make it like that, and you put a block in the bottom, then you only put 1 ounce in on the top. Well, we'll try it. So they did, and they said, oh yes, we can do it. Next thing, can you print it? Well, they do experiment. So they did. Well, now, we had that, but we had to give them an order for 5,000. So anyway, I said, well, let's give them an order for that. Yeah, we can do that. If we don't use them all, well, it don't matter. I said, we'll try something else. Anyway, so we did that. That was that. Now, I'll go to another story now, but they both will collide in a minute. We used to buy honey from a fellow who used to import it from Europe and fill it up in glass jars and put in all the advertising on it and sell it into the holiday makers. But he said, my problem is this, I got to transport, take it around. So would you handle my honey and take it around with your cream? Oh, yes, we do that, yeah, that's all right. So we took around some honey and sold it and so on, and that was that. And no great money in it, but, we did that. So that was that. That was all right. So, one day, this some comes out. I'm after we were working. He rung us and he said, I've been to a show and bought 2 filling machines to fill. I know. So why do you buy 2? Well, 2 was in the lot, and we had to buy the 2. So he said, I got 1 left. Would you like it? I said, no, we don't want that. What do we want that for? Anyway, he was quite insistent. So, all right, would we go up and see it? That was up near Bristol. So Alfred and I took a day off to go up to look at this machine that he bought. Well, if you'd seen what it was, he had a bit of a small old one, and he did all this work in his house, upstairs. But this great living machine, well, I'd exaggerate if it's a bit out of that, I think, nearly out of that. And it was thrown on a dump outside because he had a bit of a small old one, and it was in the bracken. Whoever delivered it dumped it there, and so we went up and saw it. And it did look like it was. It was covered in grease and it was dirty, and no, you wouldn't touch it. I said, no, what on earth to do with that? So we went back in the garage to have our cup of tea and stuff, because we come up and then going home again. So I said, what do we tell them? I said, we don't want that, do we? We can't want that thing. No. Oh, what? Come on, what? How can we say we don't want it? I said, I got an idea. I said, just offer him £50, and then he'll say no, and then we won't. We stood there beside this little darn thing, and he looked at me. He said, now, what about it? Well, we said, we really don't want it, but I'll offer £50. Done, he said. Done. I said, Alfred, it's done all right. He's here, and we're got to take this darn thing home now. I said, I don't know what to do with the thing, but we're getting home. And it was so heavy. It was absolutely solid iron. Anyway, we were working together with the milk martin board at the time, buying their cream, milk and cream from them, see. So we rang him up and said, you run a lorry up and down to Bristol, but he'd go in and pick that up for us. Yes, he said, well, no problem. No, yes, we do that, you know. We're glad of a part load. Oh, well, at least we get it down here. See? Well, they picked up. And if you see us when this thing came down, we had no lifting gear at all, no forklifts or anything else. And there was this thing on the back of the lorry, and we got all the men around looking at it and decided how to do it. So we got pipes underneath and dragging and rolling. How we didn't injure ourselves, I just do not know to this day, because the whole thing was so heavy. Anyway, the answer was that eventually we got the thing in the shed that was over there and stood it up over there, and then I said, cover it up and forget he's there. That's that. Now, we're going back now to this other story. We with British Midland. They were so thrilled with the fact that we did it for them. He said, we'll do anything we can to help you if you want to try to get in other places. He said, I'll introduce you to a firm called Portions, and they do small items of cream and that sort of thing. They go on their lines. So we give them the address, and the fellow went from here up to see them, and he looked at him and he said, "Where do you come from?" "From Cornwall." "What, you trying to sell us cream?" "Yeah." No. Right? You couldn't possibly do that. You live in Cornwall and we're up here. No. We're having it from a local cream now and shut us down, see? So we come back and said we couldn't get anywhere. Couldn't get it through. How's that then? Well, but he said, "I tell you what, go straight to British Airways now. Don't go to go to British Airways themselves, because we know that British Airways have been buying cream from somebody else and they've nothing but trouble." Well, we go there. And so we went and seen them. So yes, they would like cream, but they were glad to change. They needed change. But they said, we wanted a little small pot like this. Well, we had this pot 1 ounce, but they wanted a ½ ounce, smaller still, or 3/4 ounce. But you've seen the pots, and you know what I'm talking about. They're a bit smaller than that, you know. So we said we would try and do it. So now we came back. We never had the pots. So what pots are doing? We found a shop, a firm in Southampton sold their things. They're from America. So I went and saw them and got a consignment from them of these pots and brought them home. We had these darn things there, but we couldn't do anything with them because we couldn't handle them. How do we put cream in those? Just a ½ ounce. You couldn't do that with a jug, you know, fill it like. Right. I said, what about that machine? Got the boys out, pulled this darn thing out, stand it up, and he said, hot water and scrubbing, and they cleaned it down. And you wouldn't believe that you had the same thing. You would never believe it. It was solid, green, heavy, and gold lines down the thing. It was a brilliant thing. And we turned it around. He worked perfect. We'll try these pots. Yes, he'll do it, yes. So you put the pots up there and they'll come down and they'll go around. One snag, it couldn't have the right amount. So we knew the engineer down at Falmouth, and we asked him to come up and have a look at it for us, and he, like they do, they took their mic out and I said, yeah, I'll just alter that. I'll take a few thou off that, and then I'll do what you want. And sure enough, that thing, we put those in, and they filled exactly ½ ounce or 3/4 ounce, exactly what we wanted. And it come down there and out around as fast as we could put them in. They would fill them and take them off. Well, yeah, this is true. We then be able to say to, you had to have small plastic caps to go in, and we had to put labels on the top of them, and you know, the sort of thing to do, because we had no lids for them. But they did supply lids, but we could put them on, but put on my hand. But anyway, so we told British Airways that we could do it, and they would guarantee 35,000 in the year. See, anyway, I had to buy a new van to go to London, which we did. And Kendra Trail, one of the fellows we were working with at the time, he was going to Israel. He would drive up with that, and somebody else bring the van back. And we took our first load up, and they were through the bits. And that whole thing went away then. And that is, whole thing is still up in the yard there somewhere now. That started it off with doing that. And now this is the night, we did it in the evening because we had to get stuff up for New Year's. We were down doing that. And I remember I was standing there, everything was working, and we saw somebody coming in. And this fellow that sold us the thing, he came in, he said, I've just come down to see if I could buy that machine back. If he'd come down a fortnight before, he would have gone. But while we were there putting those things, he came in. Could he buy that back? Now, is that just... I'll leave that with you. I don't know. I think lots of times we've had a lot of help. Yeah.